So another defeat in Old Firm, second of the season, 100% failure record. What went wrong the day?
Well, for a start, we had absolutely no control of the middle of the park, and how many times do we say it, hour and hour and hour again, you need to get control of the middle of the park for a start. I mean, Lundstrom and Sterling, no bad performance, but when we're talking about going forward here, Cantwell, for me, was completely non-existent the full game.
Lost.
I literally, there was nothing I seen for Cantwell. He looked like he was towing a caravan.
It took him, I think it was like 38 minutes to actually start moving like relatively quickly, you know what I mean? I can remember saying on the clock, it took him 38 minutes to wake up.
Aye.
But Cantwell for me has been caught out too many times in Old Firms or big games, and he's just been non-existent. And to be honest, that's the difference. I mean, their big players show up. Callum McGregor strolls it yet again. Kyogo pings in a worldie. The game's over more or less when that bogs in the back of the net. And we've got this big plum up front who... I mean, this chance, what is going through his mind there?
Well, put it this way, Dessers always seems it's like a hot tat in the box for him in terms of like he's hitting much faster than he can actually move, and he ends up always taking 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, 4 touch till he figures out what he's got to do with the ball. By the time he's figured that out, it's far too late. He's either got a defender up his arse, or the keeper's he's already shut his angle down because the keeper's right up against him.
For me, Dessers went. I mean, we literally spoke. What was the last game? Was it against Motherwell? And we're saying, we're happy with the way Dessers has gone. He's no the finished article. He's no amazing by any stretch of the imagination, but he's moving in the right direction. He's getting better, slowly but surely, incrementally. I think the day's performance really sums him up, and he's fell back to his actual level. You know what I mean? The amount of times the day that the ball, especially when you're down to 10 men, you know what I mean? You're down to 10 men, 2-0 down, fair enough. The game's away for you, right? But even during that spell, the ball goes into Dessers a couple of times. He's beat by the centre-back gets in front of him, cuts it out, or he actually gets in front of the centre-back and then the ball just bounces off him. He can't hold it in. He's fucking hopeless, to be honest with you. It's getting beyond a joke.
It's his most frustrating thing, as you said, like holding the ball up's massive, especially when we've got such a high press after Celtic. They're pressing, they were hunting in packs, they were forcing mistakes, like weird defenders. And at the end of the day, at that kind of time, you're going to need to ping that ball over the top up front onto your striker to kind of get out of jail. But when that striker can't bring the ball down, he can't shield the ball, he can't retain it further up the park, it's pretty much useless. The ball pretty much bounces off him every single time. And the only tap it, he wasn't the only player to be doing that. Like a lot of the time, we weren't winning our second balls, we weren't winning the first balls, and some of the passing and the decision making like throughout the squad at times was absolutely abysmal.
I think you've seen it as clear as day when for our goal kicks basically. I mean, Celtic were pressing right high up the park, but I think I can count what in the one horn, if you're lucky, the amount of times we successfully played it out and around them or out and by them for our goal kicks today. The amount of times that we actually hemmed ourselves in our own corner, you know what I mean, which they done their job well, but we had to, I don't know, look for more inventive ideas. It went between two extremes. It was either we try to play out for the back and make an absolute arse of it, or we just humped it up to Dessers and basically gave them possession again. It was poor to watch. There was 2 occasions as well, I think. So the one where Goldson ends up in a 50-50 way, I'm not sure who it is, if it's O'Reilly or if it's Taylor, but that comes for Tavernier playing him an absolutely scandalous ball, just rolling it back to him with nothing on it. They were out of ideas, you know what I mean, and then Goldson 50-50, and it looked to me as if that's him, he's going to have to park injured. It wouldn't surprise me if after the game he is hot with that one, because he gets clattered, because Tavernier absolutely he sells him, you know what I mean, he sells it for him by just tapping it into him, but there was too much of that across the face area in goal today. You can't get away with that, no chance.
So just touching on the handball situation with Johnson, and all I'm going to say in the matter is Willie Collum is incredibly lucky. He was in VAR room, by the way. He's incredibly lucky that he sat there and managed to spend all half time drawing his lines, trying to figure out, right, is there anything in the build up that could get me out of jail free? And he's incredibly lucky that he managed to find that offside, because let's be honest here,
crazy, mate.
It was as clear as a penalty as you're going to get.
See, when you want like a sort of streamlined decision between VAR, they let the commentators know, or they let the official, let the fans know. I mean, that sort of game's no the game where you want to see a clear handball in the box, right, and then wait 15 minutes and go, it wouldn't have been a penalty anyway because there was 2 players offside. Which
you should be saying that at the start. Like,
exactly. If they're offside, they're offside, and it's no, and obviously it's not going to be a penalty if that's the case. But I mean, come on, you can't do it. Not in a game like this.
I don't believe he even clocked the offside to the get go.
He just got lucky there.
I think he just got incredibly lucky. I think he ended up having, as I said, having to spend half time and going, right, I'm going to get myself out of jail here.
Yeah.
And he eventually did. And not only on top of that, like, even the referee himself, there was two times, Johnson was at one of them, where 2 yellows should have been dished out for 2 challenges and 2 players should have been sent off. I mean, the Balogun one's a sending off. That's just the way it is.
But that comes as well for what I've just said 2 seconds ago. So Tav rolls one back to Goldson, and then I think it's Goldson that rolls one back to Balogun, and Balogun does take a bad touch, but I mean, it's unnecessary mistakes. But it does come through as well, Celtic pressing us and forcing us to make the mistakes. But we were totally capable of making the mistakes without them even pressing us the day. We just lacked any sort of creativity or invention between going from Butland to one of the centre. But I don't recall us playing it like successfully at all, to be honest. I know we probably did a couple of times, but I don't recall it.
Well, the thing is, it's weird coming for, like, because usually in these kind of games the heat lands with the manager, but to me, I can't really put anything on Clement. Yes, I would have made changes a wee bit earlier, but at the end of the day, like, with the quality of the squad that's there and the lack of depth and obviously the injury list and the quality on the bench, I don't think there's much more he could have done apart from rely and hope that the players stepped up and provided enough quality to get us through. And the gamble didn't pay off, because the quality, the biggest difference between that Celtic team and this Rangers team is, 1, the quality when it matters, and 2, the mentality when it matters. To me, that game started and there was far too many players, one of our key players being Cantwell, who seemed to be, as you said during the game, it seemed like he had a complete adrenaline dump, and again he looked as if he'd already played 90 minutes.
Slower than I could remember Cantwell being forever, you know what I mean? And like I say, if he wants to be the star man, or you know what I mean, or he wants to, I've yet to see him thrive in a situation like this. Going back to maybe the old firm at the end of last year where we sailed at Ibrox but the league was already done. Hey, that's fine. I mean, it was an old firm, but there was nothing to play for.
No.
These are the games where it matters, you know what I mean? And we've came up short in 2 occasions this season, you know what I mean? Home and away. So still a lot, but also remember what we've been saying. Even although since Clement's been in the door, we've no lost a game up until the day. This is where the performance side of things comes back to haunt you, because the performance wasn't there the day. We had chances. We did have chances, but chances are nay yes if there's nobody there to take them.
I know. Well, so exactly.
What does it matter if we had chances or no?
I think it lets it sink in a wee bit how much an impact Clement's had coming in. If he can take a team with this kind of quality and manage to win all his games up until the point where it matters, and then obviously at this point we start to see that kind of breakdown in quality, that breakdown in decision making, and you can only turn around and say, well, fucking hell, we asked one thing, we wanted maximum points up until the Old Firm, we got a piece of silverware as well. At the end of the day, when we're 2 games in hand, we're 2 points behind, it's still very much a title race.
Considering we've lost both of the Old Firms this year, if we win our 2 games in hand and there's still only 2 points in it, we've got rather lucky there, to be honest with you.
At the end of the day, it says a lot. That's probably one of the worst Celtic sides I've seen in a long time in terms of flaws through
but going on their form as well, you know what I mean? They've been shaky, obviously. They've lost to Hearts, they've lost to Kilmarnock, they've drew against Motherwell. But this is the really disappointing thing about Rangers, is when they're in that sort of form and we're unbeaten in 16 games, seem to be picking up the pace. You go to Betis, you win away for Betis, you go and clinch the League Cup, and then, you know what I mean, normal services resume the day when we really come to the big game. You know what I mean, the Old Firm, away for home. You go to capitalise on them being under the cosh, you know what I mean? You really have got to capitalise, and we didn't. But again, as painful as it is to lose it, right, it's not the end of the world. I mean, we still are, that's nowhere near our starting 11. You know what I mean? They'd won their centre back out injured, you know what I mean? But we're playing with a makeshift midfield. We're playing with a fucking diddy up front and Dessers.
With a left back and centre mid.
Aye, we've no depth at all. You're bringing on Dowell, who's been out for weeks.
And we're also got McCausland, who, nothing against McCausland, because he's a young boy. I would arguably say he
might have been one of the better players in the park.
To be honest, there's times where he kind of looked like the game was getting played round about him, but he was one of the most impactful players. A couple of decisions, I think he made the wrong decision, but you can't really say, because let's be honest, McCausland's kind of been chucked into the deep end because of the lack of depth we've got out wide. Well, let's be honest, we've no depth out wide because we were set up at the start of the season to play a narrow formation with no wingers. So you can't really put much on McCausland. You just kind of hope that he would step up in this game. I wouldn't say stepped up, but he looked to be one of the players that were at least slightly dangerous in the game.
Aye, definitely.
Obviously, Sima Garaf was a bit of a pain and all, because
Sima was quite quiet as well. Obviously, that half, well, a kind of half chance for, I don't know who it was, I think it was Dessers that maybe slipped it back to him, and he was either just at the edge of the box or just inside the box, and we've seen him for that sort of position before. Curl went to the top corner and he puts it right into the highest stand, you know what I mean? So for me, it was a case of a good few players lost their confidence the day, lost their mentality, and lost their composure overall, and I think that was widespread in the team. Aye,
because it might be confusing. Like, obviously you'd see Betis as a big game. It was do or die against Betis, and we managed to come out on top.
Yeah.
So you look at the game and a performance like that, and by the way, we still had the same injury list during that game and all. But you look at a performance like that and say, how can we go to Betis, away to Betis, and then come up with a performance like this against Celtic? But you need to bear in mind the fact that we're judging the mentality based on the fact that Old Firms are, regardless of like Europe or whoever we're playing outside domestic schedule, the Old Firm is the biggest game of the season, full stop, and that's the biggest game of our season. And a lot of the players, when they come into these Old Firm games, whether it's at home, away, it doesn't really matter, up at Hampden, a lot of these players tend to completely go missing, and there's a massive mentality problem. And obviously, but regardless of the mentality, is just the fact that we keep repeating it, but that the quality's just no, there's a gap in quality, there's a gap in decision making, there's a gap, to me, in football and intelligence, and shatters like Dessers.
That is major.
It's
football and intelligence.
100%.
Because even in the final third, a couple of times of the day, lack of decision making, but lack of decision making all over the park. And again, that is the difference between the sides. Take Callum McGregor, I mean, is a prime example. High football and IQ.
Aye.
You know what I mean? Knows when to make a foul, but make it neat so that the ref doesn't caution him. He knows how to wind players up. He's also just really good with the ball. Hardly gives the ball away, whereas we're riddled with players who struggle to find their teammate, who struggle not to give the ball away. Sort of Yilmaz, prime example, you know what I mean?
Well, that's the same, but and then everybody knew that before getting into the game, and obviously we put our trust in Canwell to come on and kind of disrupt them and make the game tough for them. And again, for the get-go, when you come on the park and you go missing and you're completely anonymous, and like a player like McGregor's going to catch a whiff of that, and it's pretty much you've lost the battle for the get-go. You know what I mean? Every single time we go in an Old Firm, regardless of what it is, what team we've got in, and the number one thing you need to do is you need to come out the traps flying, you need to pin them back right for the get-go, you need to force mistakes, especially at Celtic Park. You want to frustrate the crowd, get the crowd on the team's back, and then you can start to put together your game plan for there. But when you've got players who jump onto that park and they look like a toe in a caravan and they're missing, taking too long with goal scoring opportunities to take a shot, and they're making the wrong decision when they're shooting and they should have put the ball across, or they put the ball across when they should have been shooting. These wee daft things might seem like, oh well, at least we get a chance, but at the end of the day, when it comes to 90 minutes, they kind of should have been chance situations.
See they wee mistakes and they lack of making the right decisions at the right time, or even something as simple as just consistently getting the ball away like we were doing, or playing a bad pass in a bad area. When you're in front of 60,000 of their fans, I mean, these things are amplified because you can't capitalise so much in their mistakes because you don't have the momentum on your home support or your away support to help get behind it. So for instance, there was a couple of occasions where, I mean, we're taking set pieces and corner kicks. Something as daft as that, you know what I mean, that just punishes you majorly in a game like that when you can't beat the first man consistently. Weird for Tavernier as well, you know what I mean, because one minute he can't beat Kyogo at the front post with a corner, the next minute he's scoring an absolute worldie again. But many times we're going to say it, we cannot rely on James Tavernier to just miraculously pull these out, which he will do. But we also need some other finishers on the park, without a doubt. It's necessary.
Because the thing is, like, in terms of James Tavernier, like, well, we've given him his fair share of stick, right? Because there has been times, and even during this game, there's been times where
I thought he was terrible the day, mate. Honestly, other than that free kick, I thought he was brutal.
The thing is, with Tavernier, he comes up with the big moments and blah blah, he gets the big goals, but I think a lot of people, he's got the spotlight on him because when you're involved in that many big moments, you almost have the fans thinking to themselves, right, well, the rest of the team's absolute dog shit, void of quality, and you're hoping, so the spotlight's on him to carry the team, and that can be unfair at times because Tavernier himself, as you said, there's a mistake in him, so you cannot count on just your right back, which no other team's done in the past, like counting your right back to come up and score big goals and create big moments. So you just can't have it. The rest of the team absolutely has to pull their weight. And let's be honest, James Tavernier, when the cogs are turning with the rest of the team, looks like an absolutely incredible player. Like, going forward, he's an incredible player. But it's games like this that can kind of highlight his defensive vulnerabilities, and also the fact that he's not been able to completely carry the team shows how void of quality we are on the other areas of the park.
Another interesting thing as well, because I was listening to the phone in and the sort of build up to the Old Firm today, and I was hearing for like the Celtic side of things that they'll thrive in this situation because Rangers will come out and play, same as what Rangers should supposedly thrive in a situation where they're not playing against a 10-man block, you know what I mean, like a really low block. Having said that, you see how much we struggle to actually play football, play it out for the back when there's a morsel of pressure on us today. That's the real difference, because when you're playing Motherwell at Ibrox, or you're playing Ross County at Ibrox, or Livingston at Ibrox, right, here you go, Goldson, Balogun, have it, work it, you know what I mean? The day was different because as soon as Butland released it to Goldson or Balogun, there was 4 Celtic players, man for man, more or less, with your defenders, and then they're under pressure because, I mean, one small mistake and they've got the ball in your final third.
Well, that's it.
And you've seen them panic.
You can't get complacent with playing out for the back, and it's easy to slump into that because we're always playing a low block, as you said. But that game of the day, going forward, the likes of Kilmarnock, we've pretty much gave Kilmarnock, because they're a pretty intelligent, well put together team now. you've pretty much given Kilmarnock a blueprint to say, right, all we're going to do is we'll come out the traps, we'll hunt in packs, we'll try and disrupt that defence, we'll let them work the ball they want, but we'll hunt in packs and then force a mistake. And
there's no press for us either. Let's be honest.
The press was shocking.
The way we struggled to play out for the back and play it when about them to work the ball. They done it for fun today. Let's no get any. And I don't think that's because they're the highest quality. I think it's because, first of all, we never even had a press. But you need to make your mind up, right? You're either going to press or sit a bit deeper. You can't be in two minds. You can't be in a pressing position but then no press. You know what I mean? You can't just sit and then they just do boom boom and then they find that big pocket in between our forwards and midfield, and it's easy work for them. Far too 100%. Easy for my liking. So
I agree with that in a sense. Like, you've got to be able to you either commit to the press or you don't. There's a lot of the time where our idea of a press during that game, we've seen a lot for Cantwell, we've seen a lot for Dessers, sometimes for Seema as well. We were almost jogging to the ball, and all you're doing is encouraging them to play a bit quicker, because you're not necessarily closing down like time enough for them to make a mistake. All you're doing is you're jogging after players and you're making them go, right, we need to play a bit quicker out here. Right, they've just got enough time to make a decision. You either need to give them no time to make a decision, or you need to sit back, let them make the decision, but you're well set up to almost counter that attacking bit of play.
It's just, I don't know, it was actually hard to tell the day whether of course I don't think we weren't really set up to press. I don't really know what we were set up today when they were playing it out for the back, to be honest. I mean, because the big difference is you can see that they press as a unit. You know what I mean? They know as soon as this one player goes, then the rest of them are straight behind them. Whereas sometimes you'll see Dessers maybe doing doggies and that, and maybe looks as if he's doing a bit.
At the same time,
you can't press by yourself. And fair enough, like I say, if we weren't going to press them, then just don't bother. Just let their two centre backs have the ball, and then stifle it in the middle of the park. Especially like just sit a player on Callum McGregor or something to make it more difficult for them to pass round about us. But I don't know, we certainly lacked ideas today, and we did have chances, like I say, but chances aren't enough.
Another thing that annoyed me as well, we had so many opportunities, whether it was for set pieces or whether it was for normal patterns of play, where we had the chance, and I said it during the game, like, why are we not just in that position blasting the ball at Joe Hart? You know what I mean? Why are we taking 2, 3, 4 touches trying to make the perfect ball, when all you had to do was, instead of playing that big daft float ball into the box or hitting that first man, just try and hit Joe Hart. There's a mistake in him. If you're chasing the game, you blast it at him, hope for a spill. You know what I mean? At least put it in a danger area and make it difficult to defend and difficult for the goalkeeper as well. But we never worked Joe Hart anywhere near as much as we should have, because he's, in terms of that Celtic team, he is one of the weak links, and if you make him work hard, there is definitely a mistake in him.
The first Old Firm of the season, right? They had, I'm sure it was Scales and Lager Bielka, right? I don't think that Lager Bielka's been near their team, right? We don't punish it. He's not been near their team, I think, since round about then. We don't punish it. Their best centre back out. They get a centre back injured the day, so they're doing their 4th choice centre back or something like this. We don't punish it. They stroll it. I mean, that says all it needs to say. And I know that we're not at our full capacity either, but for an offensive point of view, I mean, you need to surely be capitalising in that. You know what I mean?
You got
to be doing better. So it really just cements for Clement. Obviously, we've brought Silva in. I'm hoping he can do a job. Like, obviously, he's no hit the ground running in the Premier League or whatever it might be, but I've no fear whatsoever that he's going to be a better option than Dessers, because I don't think there's no many players.
We've never seen a player like him.
You know what I mean?
We've never seen a player like him. But I mean, January, at the end of the day, as we said earlier on, there's a worse position to be in with 2 games in hand, a chance to pull it back to 2 points, back in the title race when we thought all was lost, and then we've got January. Obviously, we hope we get 3 points against Kilmarnock. That's a must win.
That'll not be an easy game either, by the way, because Kelly are a good team, and I'll tell you what, I watched them against Celtic a couple of weeks ago, and they work their socks off, by the way, 100%. That Kilmarnock team. See their 2 wide players, unbelievable players, man. Really hard workers, really talented. So we can't just go, right, that's the old firm by the way now, you know what I mean, sort of just stroll up and think that we're going to be guaranteed 3 points against teams, whether it be home or away. Even these games in hand, they're a problem in themselves as well, that they're not guaranteed 6 points, you know what I mean. We're saying if we win them, we go, there's only 2 points in it. Fair enough, but we still need to show up and win them. And considering that this is our first defeat in 16, I hope this doesn't set us back, you know, a couple of levels, and the doubts start to creep in. I hope really that we can just let this one blow over. It is what it is. It sucks, you know what I mean. It's going to sting for a while, but there's a long time between now and the next Old Firm. There's a lot of games to be played, so
again, as we
need to see
before,
improvements. We need to see new prospects be brought in. And you know what? They need to be brought in and they need to be implemented straight away. We've no time to waiting people getting fit or waiting people getting to know. They need to be brought in ready to go, because we need quality on that part.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's the Old Firm's obviously the biggest games of the season, but it's the bread and butter games that win you the league. And we just need to hope that the recruitment's right. A lot of the mistakes are fixed for the summer, and we can push on there with some decent quality, decent fit waheeds, and obviously we can take it for there. But if you've enjoyed the podcast, make sure you subscribe. Remember that the BlueSea memberships, the channel memberships, are there as well. The link to that's down in the description. It helps us with your support, invest a wee bit more back into the channel. As I said, link to that down in the description next to our socials, and we'll see you next time.